Today, in the media conference with Lal Goel, which is brought to you by V4 News, Global TV, V4 Stream, Malnadu TV, News Gaon Se, Samvad Sarokar News, Organ Donation India Foundation and Gyan. Our endeavor is to enlighten you with the current topics or those topics which are useful for everyone. And today's our topic is RSS a nationalist organization? Before I will go to the topic, I would like to inform you that today India is observing National Epilepsy Day. Every year, November 17th marks the National Epilepsy Day. It is celebrated with an aim to generate awareness among people about epilepsy, its symptoms, diagnosis, and treatment options. This nationwide campaign was started by the Epilepsy Foundation of India to reduce the prevalence of this disease in the country. Epilepsy is a neurological condition that is characterized by signs and symptoms like seizures, temporary confusion, a starring spell, loss of awareness, fear, anxiety, etc. Affecting people of any age, gender, or geographical belonging, epilepsy has no identified cause, but doctors believe that certain factors, including genetic influence, head trauma, prenatal injury, autism, etc., can potentially contribute to the onset of the condition. According to the survey of the World Health Organization, WHO, currently approximately 50 million people are suffering from epilepsy around the world, and 80% of people among them belong to the developing countries. So it is significant to make people aware of the condition and reduce the number of affected people. If not treated or managed on time, epilepsy can lead to complications like drawing, depression, suicidal thoughts, frequent episodes of a seizure lasting more than 5 minutes, and even death. We hope by observing this Epilepsy Day, more and more awareness can be created to save lives. Now, coming to our today's topic, is RSS a nationalist organization? RSS or Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh is a national volunteer organization. The RSS is the world's largest voluntary organization. The RSS is the progenitor and leader of a large body of organizations called the Sangh Parivar, which have presence in all facets of the Indian society. The RSS was founded on 27 September 1925. As of 2016, it has membership of 5 to 6 millions, and unconfirmed report says that now it is almost 1 crore members. The initial impetus was to provide character training through Hindu discipline and to unite the Hindu community to form a Hindu Rashtra. The organization promotes the ideals of upholding Indian culture and the values of a civil society and spread the ideology of Hindutva to strengthen the Hindu community. It drew initial inspiration from European right-wing groups during World War II. Gradually, RSS grew into a prominent Hindu nationalist umbrella organization, spawning several affiliated organizations that established numerous schools, charities, and clubs to spread its ideological beliefs. The RSS was banned once during British rule and then thrice by the post-independence Indian government, first in 1948 when Nathuram Godse assassinated Mahatma Gandhi, then during the emergency 1975 to 1977, and for a third time after the demolition of Babri Masjid in 1992. RSS was founded in 1925 by Dr. Keshav Baliram Hedgewar, a doctor in the city of Nagpur. Dr. Hedgewar was a political protege of Mr. B.S. Monanji, a Tilakite congressman, Hindu Mahasabha politician, and social activist from Nagpur. Mr. Monanji had sent Dr. Hedgewar to Calcutta to pursue his medical studies and to learn combat techniques from the secret revolutionary societies of the Bengalis. Dr. Hedgewar became a member of the Anushilin Samiti, an anti-British revolutionary group getting into its inner circle. The secretive methods of these societies were eventually used by him in organizing the RSS. After returning to Nagpur, Dr. Hedger organized anti-British activities through the Kranti Dal, Party of Revolution, and participated in independence activist Tilak's Home Rule campaign in 1918. According to the official RSS history, he came to realize that revolutionary activities alone were not enough to overthrow the British. After reading Mr. V.D. Savarkar's Hindutva published in Nagpur in 1923 and meeting Mr. Savarkar in the Ratnagiri prison in 1925, Dr. Hedger was extremely influenced by him and he founded the RSS with the objective of strengthening Hindu society. Dr. Hedger believed a handful of British were able to rule over the vast country of India because Hindus were disunited, lacked parakram, valor, and lacked a civic character. He recruited energetic Hindu youths with revolutionary fervor, gave them a uniform of a black forged cap, khaki shirt, later white shirt, and khaki shorts, emulating the British police, and taught them paramilitary techniques with lathi, sword, javelin, and dagger. The saffron flag of Shivaji, the Bhagwa Dhwaj, was used as the emblem for the new organization. 2 years into the life of the organization, in 1927, Dr. Hedger organized an officers training camp with the objective of forming a corps of key workers whom he called pracharaks. He asked the volunteers to become sadhus first, renouncing professional and family lives and dedicating themselves to cause of the RSS. Development of the Shaka network of the RSS was the main preoccupation for Dr. Hedger throughout his career as the RSS chief. The first Pracharak were responsible for establishing as many shakhas as possible, first in Nagpur, then across Maharashtra, and eventually in the rest of India. After Tilak's demise in 1920, like other followers of Tilak in Nagpur, Hedger was opposed to some of the programs adopted by Mahatma Gandhi. Mahatma Gandhi's instance on the Indian Muslim Khilafat issue was a cause for concern to Dr. Hedger, and so was the fact that the cow protection was not on the Congress agenda. This led Dr. Hedger, along with other Tilakites, to part ways with Mahatma Gandhi. In accordance with Dr. Hedger's tradition of keeping the RSS away from the Indian independence movement, any political activity that could be construed as being anti-British was carefully avoided. According to the RSS biographer, Mr. C.P. Bhishikar, Mr. C.B. Bhishikar, Dr. Hedger talked only about Hindu organizations and avoided any direct comment on the British government. In January 1948, Mahatma Gandhi was assassinated by a member of the RSS, Nathuram Godse. Following the assassination, many prominent leaders of the RSS were arrested, and RSS as an organization was banned on 4th February 1948. During the court proceedings in relation to the assassination, Godse began claiming that he had left the organization in 1946. A commission of inquiry into conspiracy to the murder of Mahatma Gandhi was set, and its report was published by India's Ministry of Home Affairs. It noted that the RSS as such were not responsible for the murder of Mahatma Gandhi. However, the then Indian Deputy Prime Minister and Home Minister Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel had remarked that the RSS men expressed joy and distributed sweets after Mahatma Gandhi's death. RSS leaders were acquitted of the conspiracy charged by the Supreme Court of India. Following his release in August 1948, Mr. Madhav Sadashiv Golwalkar, the second Sangh Chalak of the RSS, wrote to Prime Minister Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru to lift the ban on RSS. After Nehru replied that the matter was the responsibility of the Home Minister, Mr. Golwalkar consulted Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel regarding the same. Sardar Patel then demanded an absolute precondition that the RSS adopt a formal written constitution and make it public, where Sardar Patel expected RSS to pledge its loyalty to the Constitution of India, accept the tricolor as the national flag of India. On 11th July 1949, the government of India lifted the ban on the RSS by issuing a communique stating that the decision to lift the ban on the RSS had been taken in view of the RSS leader, Mr. Golwalkar's undertaking to make the group's loyalty towards the Constitution of India and acceptance and respect towards the national flag of India. During the Chinese War of 1962, the RSS provided active help to the civil administration. Prime Minister Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru was impressed with the help extended and allowed the RSS to field a contingent of 100 Swayamsevaks in 1963 Republic Day parade. At the time of 1965 war with Pakistan, Prime Minister Lal Bahadur Shastri invited RSS Sar Sangh Chalak Mr. Golwalkar to an all-party meet. RSS was asked to relieve the Delhi police of their routine duties so they could focus on strategic tasks for the war effort. After the declaration of 1971 Bangladesh War of Independence by Indira Gandhi, RSS provided support to the government by offering its services to maintain law and order in Delhi, and its volunteers were the first to donate blood. RSS Swayamsevaks also helped the Indian Army troops to dig trenches, and after the war helped to repatriate the Bangladeshi refugees back to their newly formed country of Bangladesh. Field Marshal K.M. Karyappa, in his speech to RSS volunteers, said, I quote, RSS is my heart's work. My dear young man, don't be disturbed by uncharitable comments of interested persons. Look ahead, go ahead. The country is standing in need of your services, unquote. Dr. Zakir Hussain, former president of India, told Milad Mehfil in Mongyar on 20th November 1949, I quote, the allegations against RSS of violence and hatred against Muslims are wholly false. Muslims should learn the lesson of mutual love, cooperation, and organization from RSS, unquote. Gandhian leader and the leader of Sarvodaya movement, Mr. Jayaprakash Narayan, who earlier had been a vocal opponent of RSS, had the following to say about it in 1977, I quote, RSS is a revolutionary organization. No other organization in the country comes anywhere near it. It alone has the capacity to transform society, end casteism, and wipe the tears from the eyes of the poor. So you have heard and viewed this report, which has given both the sides of the RSS. Now, today, we have a very elite, experienced, learned panel with us. I would like to invite my first guest. He is Honorable Justice Pramod Kohli. Honorable Justice Pramod Kohli is the former Chief Justice of High Court, Sikkim, and Chairman of Central Administrative Tribunal, CAT. Honorable Justice Pramod Kohli, after graduation from GGM Science College, Jammu, secured degree of law from University of Jammu in the year 1972. He joined bar at Jammu and was appointed as Additional Advocate General of the state during governor's rule in the year 1990 and took over as the Advocate General of the state in December 1990. He was twice elected as Secretary and once President of Bar Association Jammu. He was designated as Senior Advocate in February 91 and appeared on constitutional service, taxation, commercial and civil matters. He remained legal advisor to Sri Mata Vaishno Devi Shrine Board and Sri Mata Vaishno Devi University, Jammu, and conducted a number of important matters in the High Court of Jammu and Kashmir and Supreme Court of India. He was engaged as a special counsel on behalf of the state of Jammu and Kashmir to approve the ban imposed upon the Jammu and Kashmir Liberation Front, a militant outfit by central government under Unlawful Activities Act 1967, and 5 other militant organizations operating in the state of Jammu and Kashmir under the J&K States Criminal Law Amendment Act 1983. He was in the hit list of the Jammu and Kashmir Liberation Fund. He was also engaged as a counsel before the State Delimitation Commission for Delimitation of the Assembly constituencies in the state in the year 1991-92. He served as member on the managing committee of DAV Society run prestigious school, namely Maharaja Hari Singh Agriculture Collegiate School, Nagbani, Jammu and other local schools. He was appointed additional judge of the High Court of Jammu and Kashmir on 7th January 2003 and as a judge on 3rd January 2005. Honorable Justice Pramod Kohli opted for his transfer from state of Jammu and Kashmir on moral and ethical grounds on his son joining legal profession at Jammu. He was transferred to Jharkhand High Court where he took oath on 4th May 2006. Later, he was transferred to Punjab and Haryana High Court and took oath on 10th May 2007. He was elevated as Chief Justice of High Court of Sikkim, where he took oath on 12th December 2011 and relinquished the office on 28th February 2013. Honorable Justice Kohli was appointed as Chairman of the Central Administrative Tribunal (CAT) on 26 March 2016. Honorable Justice Kohli has been conferred with doctorate honoris causa by the Maharishi Dayanand University, Rohtak. Honorable Justice Kohli has been conferred Justice P.N. Bhagwati Award by former President of India, Shri Pranab Mukherjee. He was also awarded Vidhi Ratna by Baba Saheb Ambedkar Central University, Lucknow in its convocation in December 2017. Welcome, Justice Kohli, on our show. Justice Kohli, you have heard the report which I read, both the sides of RSS. Now we would like to know from you we would like to know from you about the today's topic, and that is RSS a nationalist organization? Honorable Justice Josh Kohli, please unmute yourself. Please unmute. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Lal. A very good morning to you and my co-panelists and all the persons who are viewing this program. It is my pleasure to be part of this show, which is of so relevance in today's time. Your report, I have listened carefully. One thing I want to say that in present scenario, rather even prior to independence, the RSS philosophy of nationalism and patriotism is from the times of its birth itself. When the RSS was, formed by Dr. Hedgever on 27 September 1925 in Nagpur, it started with only 17% volunteers. At that time, the India was under onslaught of aliens. We had rulers, invaders as rulers, Muslims, Britishers, and Indian culture, ethos, heritage, economy, and above all, the mental state of affairs of the Indians was under onslaught of the invaders. Our very culture, the existence was being threatened. So it was under that circumstances, that the founder formed this organization. The sole objective was to unite the Indian society, though some reports say that it was only to unite Hindus, but that may not be absolutely true. There were no circumstances wherein the RSS played any role in dividing the society. The RSS growth from time to time is miraculous. You must have seen that, and as you said, that today there are more than 1 crore volunteers. RSS never enrolls any person as its member. There is no membership drive as such, but the volunteers join the RSS on their own accord. You must have seen that RSS does not ask for donations. The volunteers themselves contribute for the expenses which are required for the RSS. And that is by way of annual feature, which is annual feature, Guru Dakshina. So far the present topic is concerned, I feel, and that's my experience, since independence, the RSS has been a society, an organization which is absolutely concerned with the Indian culture, ethos, and the society and its citizens. Friends, the very object of RSS is to infuse social, economical, cultural, religious philosophy, though it may have political aspects as well. The RSS believes in making or developing the character of its citizens. As Swami Vivekananda has said, man making, RSS believes in that philosophy. It is not only that the patriotism and nationalism means defending the country. Patriotism and nationalism has many dimensions. Those dimensions can be very well gauged from the activities of the RSS. I believe that RSS is the only organization which preaches and acts on the philosophy of patriotism and nationalism. It does not preach religion as the people normally, some people, a section of the society believe, and what is being propagated by section of the society, those who do not believe in nationalism. The object of the RSS philosophy is to develop the human beings as the members of the society, and in that context, the RSS believes that patriotism and nationalism is the first for all the human beings, all the nationalists, all the citizens of this country. The many dimensions which I say of the patriotism and nationalism are preservation of national ethos, heritage, culture. RSS believes in casteless society, uniting different castes. RSS believes in respecting the sovereignty and integrity of the country. It believes in strengthening of defense of the country. It believes in strengthening the economy. Swadeshi movement was introduced by RSS long back, and even Mahatma Gandhi was votary of the Swadeshi movement. Today, the same movement is being propagated as Atmanirbhar. RSS believes in developing technology. It believes in agriculture reforms, land reforms. It believes in promoting education at the higher level. It believes in spiritualism. It believes in dharma. When I say dharma, it does not mean any religion. Dharma means righteousness. That's why the RSS says that people should read Ramayana, people should read Mahabharata. These are the two, though somebody say that it's an epic, but the belief of the RSS is, or belief of Hindus is that these two, even if you say epic, do not preach any religion. These are based upon the righteousness. When you say dharma, dharma means righteousness. You must have seen Ramayana, Mahabharata, both these literatures only teach us dharma, righteousness and not any Hindu religion or any other religion. The RSS believes in revitalization of Indian value system, and also the universalism. The philosophy of our RSS, as you know, is Vasudeva Kutumbakam. The second philosophy is Sarva Dharma Sambhav. We believe that every religion must coexist without appeasement and without harming any person's philosophy. The fact that RSS is the only nationalistic organization can be gauged from various activities of the RSS. Synchronizing thoughts with the action can only establish what is the nature and what is the conduct of an organization. Lord, you have just mentioned about the Chinese War 1962, Pakistan War 1965, 71 Bangladesh War, emergency. I belong to Jammu and Kashmir. Jammu and Kashmir has faced 47 partition problems. Though I was not born at that time, but from my elders, I have come to know that RSS volunteers, though not much in number at that time, they saved the lives of people, irrespective of the religion, from the onslaught of the Muslims at that time. Many people who had to migrate from Pakistan because of the partition on religious grounds, they saved their lives. They served them food from their houses. I remember that in 1965, when I was a student, the RSS volunteers used to visit each house in the morning, request the ladies to cook food, chapatis, and whatever little they can do. And after 2 hours, after 3 years, they used to collect that food and take that food to serve the armed forces, to serve the migrants from the border areas, taking risk of their own life. This was a routine for months. And when migrants had to be shifted from border areas of Akhnur, Araspura, they were kept in schools, and only RSS volunteers used to take care of them. And government had not that much machinery at that time. Same position was in 1971 war. They served the society irrespective of the religion. Whether a migrant is a Muslim, is a Christian, a Sikh, or whatever it may be his caste or religion, the RSS volunteers used to serve them. You see, you must have seen that the RSS volunteers are always the first to donate to donate blood. In Jammu hospitals, the RSS volunteers have provided lists to the hospital authorities, giving blood groups, and whenever there is a need, they call the RSS headquarters in Jammu and ask for the blood donation, and volunteers reach the hospital even at the midnight. That's the kind of spirit the people in RSS have. In Odisha cyclone, who was the first to reach, in Andhra cyclone 77, Bhopal disaster 1984, Gujarat earthquake. You remember in Gujarat earthquake, even the police personnel refused to touch the bodies, but RSS volunteers were there to take away the bodies for their cremation, for their burial, irrespective of the religion. We have examples: Indian Ocean earthquake, Kargil war. You know, Kargil is a Muslim-dominated area. The RSS volunteers were there to serve them in Kargil war. 1984 Sikh riots in Delhi, particularly, who was there to save the Sikhs from the onslaught of some criminal elements? Only RSS volunteers. Surat floods, Uttarakhand floods, and now the recent coronavirus lockdowns. You see, in Delhi particularly, because now I am in Delhi and Jammu Kashmir both, the RSS volunteers are serving food even till date to needy persons, to poor. They are providing them sanitizers, they are providing them masks, ration, what not, whatever their needs. You must have seen that how many organizations are working for the RSS. The RSS has many organizations. To name few, the RSS has a Bharatiya Kisan Sangh, which is a organization for the benefit of the farmers. The RSS has Bharatiya Mazdoor Sangh, which is the organization regulating the Mazdoors of this country. Seva Bharati, you can't imagine the work done by Seva Bharati in all, you see, poor areas. The one organization which never misses, which always approach those poor persons is the Seva Bharati personnel from RSS. We have Shiksha Bharati. We have Vidya Bharati. These are educational. How many schools are being run by RSS? And that too in slum areas where the government is unable to establish these schools. We have Vanvasi Kalyan Ashram, a wing of the RSS. They take care of the tribals. They serve them. They teach them. We have Muslim Rashtriya Manch. We have Rashtriya Sikh Sangat. So all these organizations are working in different fields for different purposes. The only idea is to unite the Indian society, irrespective of their religion, irrespective of the caste, irrespective of the areas. What I want to say is that the credentials of the RSS as the only nationalist and patriotic organization can't be disputed by anybody. You have already mentioned about Vallabhbhai Patel's remarks that it is a patriotic organization and has love for the country. You have mentioned about Field Marshal Cariappa's remarks. Dr. Zakir Hussain, who advised Muslims to follow the pattern of RSS, Jayaprakash Narayan. Therefore, what I want to say is that perhaps RSS is the only organization which teaches, which preaches, and its actions itself establish that it is the only nationalistic, patriotic organization, and bona fidely, honestly believes in that, and propounds and propagates the philosophy of nationalism. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Justice Kohli, for giving your views. And Justice Kohli said that the RSS from the starting is a nationalist and patriotic organization. He said, although it was started with only 17 volunteers, but today it's having those who are associated with the RSS directly is about 1 crore. And he also highlighted how the RSS has worked during all types of committees, whether it's a war, whether it's 47, 48 war or 65, 71 war, or even the Kargil war. And he also mentioned about the natural calamities like earthquakes in Gujarat or floods or tsunamis. Everything he has highlighted and said everywhere the RSS Swayamsevaks or the RSS workers were always way ahead than any other organization, doing the work for the benefit of the society without any distinction of caste and creed and the religion. And he says, whatsoever the opposition says or anybody says, but the RSS is basically a cultural, secular, not secular, spiritual, as well as the nationalist organization and patriotic organization, which according to Justice Kohli, no other organization is doing that type of work which RSS is doing. Thank you very much, Justice Kohli, for giving your views about the RSS. And now I would like to invite my next guest, and he is Dr. C.V. Anand Bose, IAS. Dr. C.V. Anand Bose, IAS, is one-man expert commission on labor to prepare an action plan for the welfare and development of the workforce in the context of COVID-19. He was former head of disaster management, Government of India, and Central Drought Relief Commissioner, Government of India. He is also the principal advisor, Government of India Heritage Project. He is the chairman of Indian Red Cross Kerala. He was the vice chancellor of National Museum, University of Delhi. He has authored 40 books in English, Malayalam, and Hindi, including novels, short stories, and essays. 4 of his books have become bestsellers. 4 books on Vastu and architecture, and 1 book on housing received prestigious the Sharjah International Book Fair Award. Dr. Bose is an housing expert, innovator, writer, orator, and visionary. The path-breaking institutions set up by him, such as Nimriti Kendra Building Center, District Tourism Council, and Habitat Alliance, have been replicated at the state, national, and global level. He was the head of the prestigious Supreme Court Committee on the Treasurers of Sri Padmabha Swami Temple. Dr. Bose addressed United Nations General Assembly and specialized sessions 5 times on various international issues. Dr. Bose is a recipient of 31 national and international awards, including United Nations Global Best Practice Award. He also receives prestigious Jawaharlal Nehru Fellowship. Kerala government termed him Lord of Ideas. Former Prime Minister Mr. Manmohan Singh called him inspired civil servant, and our Honorable Prime Minister Mr. Modi called him man of ideas. Welcome, Dr. C.V. Anand Bose, on our show. Dr. Bose, you have heard what Honorable Justice Kohli has mentioned about the RSS. Now, as you very well know, that today what report I have read, there are 2 sides of the RSS, and I have given both the sides. Now, but we would like to know from you, is RSS a nationalist organization? Dr. C.V. Anand Bose, please.
Thank you, Mr. Goel. I think you have fixed this important discussion on the most appropriate day, whether it's by design or by accident. This is the World Epileptic Day, as you said. There is a section of people in India who are taught to go epileptic when they hear the name RSS. Thanks to the erudite presentation by Honorable Justice Kohli, most of the misconceptions against the RSS has been dispelled here. So I'll take on from there. What is the RSS all about? One picture, of course, is that the RSS is a set of dedicated nationalists who are inspired by patriotism. The second picture is very dismal. It is a bunch of hardcore or extremist communalists who are out to destroy the communal harmony of India. So this is a very confusing state of affairs. The RSS has been banned, as you and Justice Kohli has said many times. If they are banned, they must be bad boys. But the ban has been lifted. That means they must be good boys. So are they good boys or are they bad boys? That is a primordial confusion which has been created in India. And we owe it to the people to dispel this. to a very large extent. The judicial mind of Justice Kohli has cleared the air to a very large extent. Now, why is it that the same narrative against the RSS is being paraded and being believed or made to be believed in India today, even though, as you pointed out in the beginning, RSS is the strongest movements, people's movements in the world as far as voluntarism is concerned. I think Albert Einstein will give the reply to this. Einstein, before he came up with the theory of relativity, he was not a very well-known figure in Europe. But with the theory of relativity, he shot into fame. He was invited by the Oxford University for a lecture and also to give him a reception. Einstein has certain oddities, eccentricities with him. He will travel only in his own car, wherever he goes. And if he has to go outside the country, the car will also be shipped. And the car should be driven only one driver. He will not allow anybody else to touch it. So they came to go to Oxford. As they were driving through the streets of London to Oxford, Albert Einstein picked up a quarrel with his driver. The driver said, "Please stop your backseat driving." Einstein got wild. And he said, "Then I will drive." Then he said, "Okay, if you drive, then I will speak on your theory of relativity." The driver said, "Okay, then do it." They switched on places. Einstein became the driver, and the driver sat in the rear of the car. In this melee, they reached the gates of Oxford. They came, opened the rear door, and received the VVIP, who was sitting on the rear seat. The driver was ushered onto the stage, thinking that is Albert Einstein. And he was asked to speak about the theory of relativity. The driver gave an excellent speech on the theory of relativity, because he had heard Einstein saying the same speech on so many occasions. But at the end of that, the professor of physics in Oxford, he stood up and asked a question in quantum physics. The driver told the professor, "Elementary, professor, elementary. These questions can be answered even by my driver." So he asked Einstein, who was sitting in the back. So the same speech, when I say the same speech, the same narrative has been given about RSS in this country. First by India's first Prime Minister, Jawaharlal Nehru. Jawaharlal Nehru had a kind of pathological dislike for the RSS. I am saying this not without any authority. Jawaharlal Nehru is on record. He said, by education, this has been repeated recently also in the Deccan Chronicle, by education, I'm an Englishman. By views, I'm an internationalist. By culture, I'm a Muslim and a Hindu only by the accident of my birth. This sums up the attitude of Jawaharlal Nehru towards anything that is Hindu. And now, coming to the next generation, recently, of course, Obama is on record about Rahul Ji, that he was like a, child student who tries to impress it. Anyway, that I'm not going into that. But these two generations I'm saying, because it has a relevance to the context. Rahul Ji once told Timothy Romer, the then ambassador of the United States to India, at a dinner hosted by India's Prime Minister in 2009, that RSS is worse than the Lashkar-e-Toiba. These are two opinions. Everybody has got a right for their opinion. In between lies the truth. And the truth about RSS has been clearly stated by Justice Kohli here. And I would also try to repeat what both of you have said about Zakir Hussain. Zakir Hussain, the former president of India, certainly a great nationalist. He said the allegations against RSS of violence and hatred against Muslims are wholly false. Wholly false. Muslims should learn the lessons of mutual love, cooperation, and organization from RSS. So, which is the right picture? The right picture is that, the RSS has been banned many times. Why? It is banned not only with independent India, See, there is a charge against RSS that they were not participating in the freedom struggle. But the British government, the Raj and the Swaraj, both have banned RSS. Why? Hedgewar, who formed the RSS, he fought against the British, he was jailed. He was a part of Tilak movement. He was a Tilakite. But when he formed the RSS, they decided this is an apolitical organization. This is an organization which is based on humanism. This is an organization which is based on Vasudhaiva Kudambaka. This is an organization which is there to foster nationalism and patriotism. Even today, you go by the narrations given by Justice Kohli Saab here. See, whenever there is a need in this country, RSS rises to the occasion. They are there even to maintain law and order. Lal Bahadur Shastri requested the RSS to take over the law and order maintenance in Delhi during our war with Pakistan. Even Mrs. Gandhi did that. Now, the RSS on and off has been banned. But from 1925 till date, the RSS has proved itself to be one of the most dedicated, most principled, least corrupt, or even incorruptible organizations. Now, where do we place this organization? Yes, the RSS has certain criticisms against it. Number one, it was said that they were against the Constitution of India. Number two, they disrespected the national flag. These are square issues, squarely drawn. We have to answer this. Did they disrespect the Constitution? When the Constitution was formulated, you go through the speeches of the participants in the Constituent Assembly. There were so many theories, so many opinions which were expressed there. That it is from all these welter of opinions that the Constitution was created. Their objection was only this: is this India's Constitution? If it is India's Constitution, it has to reflect the ethos, the culture, the milieu of the nation. Vasudhaiva Kudumbakam should be the basis of that. And the great lawgivers of the world, including Manu, there is no reflection of that. The RSS did not object to the content of the Constitution. They objected to the lack of content in the Constitution about the Indian ethos. Opinions may differ. At the formative stages of any Constitution, different opinions will come. But once the Constitution was formulated, they respected it. There are two prime ministers in this country: Vajpayee, Atal Bihari Vajpayee, and the present-day Prime Minister Narendra Modi. They were from the RSS. When they become prime ministers, they swore by the Constitution. They stood by the Constitution. They tried to implement the Constitution. It is a fallacy to say that the RSS is against the Constitution of India. And number two, the flag. The flag represents the symbol of India's ethos, the essence of India. The RSS only pointed out that Bhagat Dhwaj is there, which reflects the ethos of India than the tricolor. It's an opinion. Once the opinion was expressed, of course, nobody paid heed to that. Then the flag code of India did not permit private citizens and organizations to flaunt the flag. That is why RSS did not do that. In 2002, the flag code was amended. In 2002 itself, in the national headquarters of RSS, India's flag was hosted. Therefore, it is a series of misinformation which is given to tarnish the image and reputation of RSS. RSS is a nationalist organization. It's a voluntary organization. It's an organization which is secular with the S as a capital. They are secular not because it is there in the Constitution of India, because India is secular. The Hindu culture is secular. That secularism is reflected by RSS. RSS is never a communal force. I have the experience only in the civil service. I was also handling police for a long time. I was also under the impression that the RSS is an organization which is communal. No, never. You come to know of it. You learn that. See, it is always better to light a candle than curse the darkness. We have been made to live in the darkness as far as RSS is concerned. Let us light a candle. It was very, very encouraging and enlightening to listen to a judge, that to a former Chief Justice, give his opinion with so much of candor. I think this discussion here will certainly light up the path, and tomorrow to fresh woods and pastures anew. As far as RSS is concerned, it should be Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya. The darkness which has engulfed all of us as far as RSS is concerned will go and light will come. RSS will emerge as the symbol of India's secularism and India's concern for humanity, which is enshrined in Vasudhaiva Kudumbakam. That is RSS in my perception. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. C.V. Anand Bose, for giving such a strong your views about the RSS. And Dr. C.V. Anand Bose endorsed what Justice Kohli has mentioned, Honorable Justice Kohli has mentioned, but he has also added few more things. And he has said that RSS, that there is lots of misconceptions are there, and but he has given the examples even of Einstein, and he has mentioned how Pandit Nehru was against RSS, as well as he has mentioned about the current position about the opposition leaders. But one thing which he said is that about the constitution as well as the national flag, whatsoever the misconceptions are there in the society, it has to be removed, because according to him, RSS was never against the constitution nor against the national flag. Thank you very much, Dr. Bose, because you have already mentioned in such a clear way that I need not to summarize it. And because of the positive, because I know the topic is so heavy, and everybody would like to hear from the horse's mouth. So now I would like to go to my next panelist. I would like to invite my next panelist, and he is Mr. M. Harisena Verma, IPS. Mr. Verma is of 1985 West Bengal cadre. He worked in various capacities in West Bengal till 2004 when he joined Government of India. He was SP of Birbhum district and North 24 Parganas district, which was the largest district in India in terms of population. He served as United Nations Police Monitor in Mozambique in 1994. From 2004 till 2019 December, when he retired, he worked under Ministry of Home Affairs in Delhi, Trivandrum, Agartala, and Chennai. He is a recipient of United Nations Peacekeeping Medal in 1994, Indian Police Medal in 2001, President's Police Medal in 2009, and Ati Utkrisht Seva Padak in 2020 post-retirement. He has written a 500-page analysis on Gita in Malayalam, which was published by DC Books. He is continuing research, study, and writing on Gita. He has also published several poems, short stories, and articles in Malayalam and English. Welcome, Mr. Verma, on our show. Mr. Verma, you have already heard our earlier panelist, Justice Kohli, as well as Dr. C.V. Anand Bose. And both have said very clear, in clear terms, that the RSS is a nationalist, patriotic organization. And there is no doubt about it, according to both of them. And they have they wanted to remove the misconceptions which is in the some section of society about their nationalist character or the patriotism or even the secularism. Now, we would like to know from you, is RSS a nationalist organization? Mr. M. Harisen Verma, IPS, please.
Thanks, Mr. Goel. Good morning to you and to all my panelists and all those who are listening. This question, the topic, is RSS a nationalist organization? Is almost everybody will affirm, even the worst critics of RSS may tell that it's a nationalist organization. Maybe there can be dispute on whether the nationalism of RSS is inclusive enough or not. There can be different opinions, but I believe there cannot be two opinions about the nationalistic character of this organization. My erudite, sagacious co-panelists have explained, I may add a little more, like the defense of Srinagar airport in 1947. It was done by a small group of RSS people, along with some other local citizens. It was kept till the Indian flights could come there, Indian Air Force could come there. That way it saved that airport and saved the Jammu, Kashmir Valley. So Justice Kohli has given several other examples also. So, I mean, it is no doubt that this organization, which prays every day, morning and evening, Namaste Sada Valsale Madhur Bhumi, cannot be but patriotic and nationalist organization. There cannot be any doubt about that. Some of the critics of RSS say that RSS is not that it's not nationalistic, it is too much nationalistic, excessively nationalistic. And they compare it to the Nazi party of Germany and the fascist party of Italy. But there is a difference. The nationalism of RSS is not exactly a political nationalism alone. It's basically a cultural nationalism, and it never wants to aggressively conquer other places, other countries, other cultures, dominate, hegemony. No, that is the characteristic of Indian cultural nationalism. That's what RSS is also following, unlike the Nazi or fascist organizations who consider race and state as some organic substances. So here RSS does not consider any racist idea. So this definitely this comparison is wrong. It's a way to vilify the organization, to call that it is fascist and all. Now, uh, I will say that this RSS has accepted the Pandit Deendayal Upadhyay's integral humanism as one of its major principles. I will just read it, which was just in the it's accepted by the RSS only from their site only. And that will be of very use to understand about RSS. All nations are integral part of the world, need to strive for collective development with restraining consumption. And all citizens have to behave with an approach of holistic relationship among the family, society, and nature. Then only sustainable harmony in the world can be ensured without struggle and conflict. Here, it is not just about a nationalistic context, it's also in the ecological, environmental context also. One has to be in harmony with everything around us. All are part of one. That is the belief of Hinduism. It is expressed in Upanishads and Bhagavad Gita and all. That is Vishwam Bhavati Egamidam. Let the world become one single nest where every one of us are birds. Like Muhammad Iqbal told, all of us are birds in this beautiful garden called Hindustan. So here we have expanded it. The whole world is like that. So, and struggle and conflict, that we are avoiding, unlike the fascist or Nazi parties and all who thrived in struggle and conflict, and also the communist ideology also, it's struggle. So now this with such a philosophy, it cannot be called that it's an aggressive nationalism against other cultures and other countries and all. Within India also, our concept was we never imposed one culture over other. We have maintained unity in diversity, not just unity. So RSS is continuing that. There's no doubt about that. But here I may mention one part which may not have been stressed by my co-panelists. Inclusiveness is part of the Hindu culture. But how much are we expressing it? Or RSS is expressing also. Sangh Parivar is expressing also. We have found that in practice also, mostly it is kept by the RSS and Sangh Parivar, this inclusiveness. They don't see Muslims or Christians or communists as aliens, or they are part of our country. They say, and they maintain it also mostly. But the problem is that there are some extremist elements in the Sangh Parivar also organizations, and there are non-Sangh Parivar organizations. Many of them have now come up in the recent period, which are not connected to Sangh Parivar, non-Sangh Parivar Hindu organizations. These people, often very selfish, self-aggrandizement is their aim, vested interest. So they have been proclaiming the against the inclusivity and vocally only, and not in action, just to gain some importance from my experience. So the RSS needs to is against them, it's visibly against them, strongly against them. Actually, it is the core of our secularism, our constitution, our what you call a strong point of our culture, Hindu culture. But now that is being strangely, paradoxically appropriated by anti-national, expansionist, imperialist organizations of Muslim or Christian names. So there are such organizations who want to divide the country into many, or there are other Maoist organizations. These people, they are only taking the inclusiveness now. They verbally proclaim the inclusiveness. They say everything about ecology, environment, Dalit right, everything, as if they are there. And but from the Sant Parivar, there are some people openly saying against that, foolishly saying and saying. So, but these people who proclaim this, these anti-national elements, they in practice they are digging the, trying to dig the grave of our country, and we have been fighting this. So this is one thing we have to be aware of it, and we have to fight against such elements. The Westerns within Hinduism or Hindu culture. So, and that's why I like RSS to be more reformistic. RSS is a continuation of the, in one way, the spirit of freedom struggle, that of Arya Samaj, Brahma Samaj, and all who wanted to remove the negativities and improve our society, which has been under for a millennium under slavery, cultural slavery also, and political slavery. So we should continue that reformist trend within our religion against Westerners, and also in the country. For judicial reforms we want, bureaucratic reforms, police reforms, prison reforms, all these reforms, and action against corruption also. We have to be visibly and forcibly come against that. So that's what I would like the RSS to do. And RSS includes Muslims, Christians, Hindu, other than Hindus, in their organization, Sikhs also. There are there are many volunteers of these communities, but it has to be more visible. They should take more steps for that, and it should have more penetration in the among the Dalits, among tribals of some areas. They have in some areas among the tribals, and they should also develop more intellectual Kshatriya. Actually, our country, our culture is under threat every time. And our country means basically our culture. We have been sustained by this cultural nationalism over the centuries, millenniums. So this is under threat by proselytization, by making people against our country, creating misconception among different people. Say the Dravidians or Aryan, this is wrong, false racial theories and all these things. So we have to develop more intellectual Kshatriyada, not in a practical sense, physical sense in the field only, but in academic and publishing sectors, as well as in the field of media, in English and regional languages, as well as in Hindi. So that has to be developed, and we should the RSS should study deeply the ideology of these anti-national organizations, basing on their books, religious books, laws, practices, all these things, including Maoist thoughts, and bring out their shallow, inhuman, weak bases, which they are every time attacking our culture openly, and we are not able to defend. But their base, I can say strongly that they're shallow, inhuman, and weak. I can prove it also, mostly. So then these things are needed. And one more thing is to remove caste hierarchies from every field. Mostly it is going by itself, including the priesthood. I would like the RSS to take visible steps to remove that hierarchies from every field. And also, say, among Sikhs, Buddhists, Tamil non-Brahmins, they should appear to be with, of everybody. That reaching out, inclusiveness has to expand. Not that it's not there in their ideology, but in practice, it has to be even more expanded. So, and one more thing, lastly, I would say that they should emphasize on bhakti or surrender to God. I mean, this is my personal opinion. Because any organization which way they consider India as the motherland, yes, they don't, as Justice Kohli told, they don't say religion. I don't think religion is to be set aside. Our religion is inclusive. If we have bhakti to God, that doesn't mean we are opposing bhakti in another name or in any other religion. But without bhakti and surrender, we will not succeed fully. So all human efforts are part of as instrument of the God only. That's from study of Gita. I feel fully. I will do injustice to myself if I don't stress on that. Don't tell it. So that I think it's needed. So these are some of the observations I have found, and then in my experience also, I have found. I worked in Bengal for a long time. There, at that time, RSS was only in some areas only. There were riots. People often tell about riots and RSS is connected and all these things. But riots have been happening for a long time, even from British period and even earlier also. And it has happened in almost all states of India. In all districts of Bengal, also small or medium riots used to happen once in a while over different issues. Two groups of people are living nearby each other. Sometimes it's some different communities have some problems. Say in South India, Tamil Nadu, and in Bengal, it was mostly Hindu Muslim. But it's not that majority of the people were antagonistic to each other. No, but there were sometimes skirmishes. Sometimes it develops further. But I have found that this vote bank politics of parties trying to fish out of trouble mandates, often trying to utilize the police and misutilize the police, and not doing in a fair way by the administration and the police. That basic fairness, whoever has done wrong, they will be treated as wrong, and who are the victims will be protected. Instead of a false equality, by anything happening, you arrest, say, 10 of the accused attacking group and another 10 of the victim group also. So appearing to be good, and this type of things will not work. I have personal experience. If there's more question, I can tell about it. But I have never found RSS instigating or masterminding any riot there. It's my experience there. So I believe that should be true everywhere. I could only add that RSS may be involved in providing relief after riots or providing defense to the attacked Hindus in some areas. This must have happened. But otherwise, it is never on its own. It has been doing riots and trying to push Muslims out of the country and all. These are Western interests accused. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Verma, for giving your views. And according to Mr. Verma, the RSS, they are definitely the nationalists. There is no doubt about it. According to Mr. Verma, if you ask anybody, even the bitter critic of RSS, they will also say that they is a nationalist. Yes. And one more thing he says, the RSS is an inclusiveness party, which include everybody. That is the main character of the RSS. And he said that with his experience, he can very well vouch that RSS has never created any riot or started any riot. Rather, they helped the victims, they provided the relief materials and all those things which are required. And he has given many suggestions to the RSS themselves if the RSS will start changing their thinking in a proper way, in a progressive way, which they are doing every time. It will be definitely far better. And according to him, RSS is really a nationalistic, a inclusive, and a secular party. So there is no doubt about it. And he is very clear with his own experience of West Bengal that RSS is never involved in any national activities. Thank you very much, Mr. Verma, for giving your views about the RSS. Now my question is to Honorable Justice Kohli. Mr. Kohli,
Yes, please.
you all have spoken, giving your views, which shows that the RSS is a nationalist organization. My question to you, if it is like this, then why they were against, although Dr. C.V. Anand Bose has explained about the constitution, that they were not against Indian constitution, but I will read few things and then I want your reply on that. The question is why they are against Indian constitution from the very beginning. When the Constituent Assembly finalized the constitution, the RSS mouthpiece, the organizer, complained in an editorial dated 30th November 1949. But in our, I quote, but in our constitution, there is no mention of that unique constitutional development in ancient Bharat. To this day, his law, as enunciated in the Manu Smriti, excite the admiration of the world and elicit spontaneous obedience and conformity, but to our constitutional pundits, that means nothing, unquote. Then on January 1st, 1993, the RSS published a white paper denouncing the constitution as anti-Hindu and outlined the kind of polity it wishes to establish in the country. In its foreword, Swami Hiranand wrote, the constitution in country to the the constitution is contrary to the country's culture, character, circumstances, situation, etc. It is foreign oriented. Now, being a legal luminary, I ask just a question? If any other organization or any individual say this thing or publish this thing, whether the government of the day, whichever government, will not start a sedition case against them or will ban that organization, or is it correct what RSS has done, or what was the reason? Although Dr. C.V. Anand has explained, but can you give more explanation why they were against the constitution? And when now, because the constitution, as Dr. Anand says, the C. Anand says that both the Prime Minister has taken the oath of the Prime Minister's office in the name of Constitution. So, what are your views, Honorable Justice Kohli, please?
Mr. Lal, as my co-panelist has already explained, there are two important things. One, against an document, and to say that the document does not contain something more which was required. RSS has never said that the document is not acceptable. What the RSS has been saying is that it should contain some kind of provisions which represent the Indian ethos, Indian culture, Indian values. That was the concern of the RSS. Like Goraksha is an Indian ethos. Common civil code is old Indian ethos, old Indian culture. We respect everybody. You see, the philosophy which is believed by RSS is धर्म की जय हो, अधर्म का नाश हो, विश्व का कल्याण हो, प्राणियों में सद्भावना हो. This itself explains the philosophy of RSS. When we say dharam, we do not say Hindu dharam, do not say any other religion. Dharam means the righteousness. Adharam means something which is not right. Therefore, this represents the philosophy of RSS. What the RSS has been saying all along in 1949 and thereafter 1993 is that some values which are represented by the Indian culture, those are missing from the provisions of the Constitution. It was never against the Constitution. You want something more to be added. What is wrong with it?
Okay. Okay, thank you very much, Honorable Justice Kohli, for giving your this clarification, and this is very much required because the perception in the public is that RSS was against Constitution. No, it was not, as Honorable Justice Kohli has mentioned, that they wanted to add few things which are for the benefit of the country and which is required. To add something is not against the Constitution. Thank you very much, Honorable Justice Kohli. I'm sure our viewers will definitely get a clarity now that RSS is not against the Indian Constitution. Now my question is to Dr. C.V. Anand Bose. Dr. C.V. Anand Bose, you have already clarified everything. You have given such a good explanation. Now my question to you is, when everything is like this, I will just read that, but before that question is, why not declare RSS as a political party? The mainstreaming of Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh is complete from Rashtrapati Bhavan to the Raj Bhavans in states, from the North Block to state secretariats, from vice chancellors of Central University to the Sahitya Academy or Lalit Kala Academy. Loyal RSS pracharaks have taken over at the helm, as well as our Prime Minister. So where everywhere the RSS people are there, why not declare openly that RSS is a political party? Why we should always say that it's only cultural and on culture organization. It has nothing to do with the politics. But if you see, as you have already mentioned about the Honorable Prime Minister, he is from RSS only, and all others, as I read about even our Honorable President and many of the governors. So why not RSS to be declared as a political party? Dr. C.V. Anand Bose, please.
I may suggest an amendment to this. Why not all political parties merge into RSS? They'll be refined. That will be a saving grace for India. What is RSS? After listening to the erudite, opinions of Justice Koliji and our DGP, Arisana Verma, I would think RSS does not represent Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh. It represents Ready for Selfless Service, RSS. That is a profile of RSS, which they have assiduously built in the minds of the people, which stands scrutiny. I do not want to take more time. What does the RSS and the Sangh Parivar organizations do? There is this practice among the Yoruba tribe, the tribals of Africa and the Amazon. Before a boy matures into youth, he is subjected to a test. They will take him to a deep forest, tie him to a tree. He has to be there the whole night. Wild animals will be roaming around. This fellow cannot do anything because he is tied. He will start yelling. How came the tribal chief could do this? When he hears the roar of the land, he says, how came my father has allowed this? Early morning, he is untied from the tree. Then he sees his father is near him with a raised up axe to guard him at night. All the tribal chiefs are behind them with a drawn up sword to defend him. That is what the RSS is doing. The RSS is there around India with a raised up axe, and their sister organizations, the Sangh Parivar organizations, are there with raised up swords to guard Mother India. That is the mission. That is the vision which is reflected by RSS. Now decide what should be the fate of RSS. RSS is there for India. So far as India is there, RSS will be there because RSS breathes the essence of India. That is what we want. That is what the people have realized. And one more thing, you said about the many offices being occupied by the RSS. See, the non-RSS rulers, I'm not criticizing anybody. These are statistics, not criticism. How many times the state governments were dismissed under Article 356? Jawaharlal Nehru, 8 times. Indira Gandhi, 39 times. Rajiv Gandhi, 6 times. P.V. Narasimha Rao, 11 times. Manmohan Singh, 12 times. And now, 0 times. Now you decide, because there is, whenever an RSS pracharak is in the helm of affairs, he is guided by one principle, Satyam Vada, Dharmam Chara. That is what we want. Satyameva Jayade. Therefore, Vande Mataram. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bose, for giving your reply in such a philosophical way. Now my question is to Mr. Verma. Mr. Verma, you being the DGP and helm with so many police posts, why there is when everybody is talking, you, Dr. C.V. Anand Bose and Honorable Justice Kohli talk so much good about the RSS, then why there is a fear phobia? I can tell you my own experience. When my flyer of this program reached yesterday to the people, I received for the first time the messages asking me why you have taken such type of sensitive topic. You are going to be trolled. You will be like this. Now, I don't know why people have such type of fear phobia. If, as you said, as Honorable Justice Kohli said, that Dr. C.V. Anand Bose said, that RSS is for the people. RSS is doing so good things. But why the people or those who are they feel fear? Is there anything? Is there is a this atmosphere has been created by the oppositions of RSS, or is there is something which people fear, and that's why they feel that this topic should not be touched by anyone in at all? What you say about this, Mr. Verma, please?
Goel, what I feel is that there are several reasons for this fear phobia. One major thing, as you told, the adversaries of RSS. So they have been systematically vilifying the organization, including as the murderer of Mahatma Gandhi, which is not true. An official inquiry has totally cleared the organization, cleared Veer Savarkar also, but still the same accusation is continued with no trace of evidence of truth. So that is Goebbels' principle they are following, repeating it. So like that, there are several accusations against RSS that is engineering riots all over the country all the time, or are against Muslims, Christians. They want to drive everybody out. And the Hindu Rashtra is something like a jihadi concept, where others are Jimmies, second-class citizens, and only Hindus have rights, and they will be ruling as per Hindu scriptures, which will be full of hatred against non-believers, different classes of people under the same God. So this is human beings all are supposed to be same, but treated very bad. But this is never in Hindu religion. This is never in our ethos. And even if a Hindu Rashtra comes, Hindu Rashtra is a cultural concept. So then where everybody can propagate or not propagate religion or idea, they're free. And over the years, India was the only country in the whole world where this was allowed. I'm not saying ideally, there could have been some drawbacks here and there, but it was in a very large extent, much higher than others. So that's wrong. And then they are not at all replicating the jihadi ideology or caliphate or anything. So then this type of fear psychosis they have been creating. The communists also, the leftists also, left liberals also, without studying the RSS much. That's and just to cite a small this anecdote. I was a probationer in the National Police Academy. There was another fellow probationer with me. So something about RSS we discussed. I don't remember what was the topic. Suddenly he told, "Oh, RSS, the dangerous organization." He told he was from North India. Why he told like that? It was from some corner of the country, Nagaland or Mizoram, and or we can say that he has been brainwashed in you. But later that gentleman went into Indian Administrative Service also. So now it's nothing against him; he's a good person. But then this is the concept many of the educated Indians have. In the this one thing I read in a book.
Please be brief, Mr. Verma.
Last
Yeah,
point.
yeah.
Is our education. It is. It is denationalizing many people. So this is part of that. But at the same time, RSS also should have come up more. I have already told that they should come up more in academic and publishing sectors, clear itself more. Earlier, it was believing only the word of mouth. That was one drawback which they have now changed. That was the motto of the we'll never highlight our good things, because that will create ego.
Thank you very much. So today, viewers, you have seen how what is the situation as far as the reality of RSS, and there are misconceptions, myths. I am sure today's program has cleared many of the myths, many misconceptions about RSS, and our three panelists, Honorable Justice Kohli, Dr. C.V. Anand Bose, as well as Mr. Verma, has given their views, their experience, and they have cleared the doubts in the minds of the general public that why the RSS, the people feel that it's a taboo word. And as I mentioned earlier, that when I receive such type of messages, I firmly believe there is something which I must do, because if people say that don't do this show, it clearly means that they want to hide. They have some fear. Why to have a fear? And what today all the three panelists have explained, it clearly shows that there is nothing to fear. Rather, we must try to understand, we must study in deep instead of listening one views or others. Yes, different views are always welcome. And our show is a positive show. We always want to hear. We always want that what the expert or what those people wants to explain the things clearly. We do not want to do a tutu meme show or a shouting show. That's why what we have heard today are from those who are expert in their fields. They have mentioned, they have given their views. Now it is up to you to decide. But one thing is very clear, the misconceptions about the RSS, few of them, because the time is not that much, so we cannot do the things. I'm sure the RSS will definitely do some more good works. And my appeal as being the chairman of Organ Donation India Foundation to RSS, when they were in forefront for blood donation, they must come out for in forefront for organ donation, because today more than 5 lakhs Indians are dying every year for want of organs. So please take this note very clearly and try to help those who are dying for want of organs. And I'm sure the organization like RSS will definitely take up this. And thank you very much, all my viewers as well as the panelists. But our endure. But before that, I would like to inform that today's program is live telecasted by V4 News, Global TV, V4 Stream, Malnadu TV, Newsgaon Se, Samvad Sarokar News, as well as it was shown live on Facebook and YouTube. And our endeavor is to bring to you every day new topic. And tomorrow our topic is media conference with Lal Goel, role of youth in politics. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9 youths. So I will not be able to take the names of all the 9 youths. They are going to give their views about the role of youth in politics. So please do join tomorrow media conference with Lal Goel at 10:30 a.m. Thank you very much.
Mr. Lal,
yes.
Before you conclude, you can enroll me for organ donations right now.
Thank you very much, Honorable Justice Kohli. And thank you for such a nice gesture. And thank you, Dr. C.V. Anand Bose. Thank you, Mr. Harisen Verma, for joining. And thank you all the viewers for viewing our program. Thank you very much.